Evan Hale stepped onto the soft blue grass of planet Varuna, with quiet curiosity in his eyes. The human exploration team behind him carried scanners, tools, and crates, but Evan simply looked around, taking in the strange purple sky and the tall crystal trees that whispered when the wind passed through them. Everything felt peaceful, and yet the Varunian guides beside the humans walked with nervous steps, glancing around as if danger hid behind every stone. Evan noticed their worry and wondered what they were afraid of. The Varunians led the humans to their village, which stood in a valley glowing with natural light from floating stones. The tribe members watched the humans with wide eyes, but they did not seem hostile. Instead, they appeared troubled, as if something heavy rested on their hearts. Evan felt it immediately. Something was wrong in this place. The chief of the tribe, an elderly Varunian with silver patterns on his skin, welcomed the humans. His voice was calm, but his eyes showed fear. He explained that the tribe had been suffering from sudden energy storms, wild surges of light and force that struck the valley without warning. These storms destroyed homes and frightened the people. The tribe believed a creature was responsible, a creature they had captured only days ago. Evan listened carefully. The chief said the creature was called a Rathor. According to the tribe's old stories, Rathors brought storms wherever they lived. The storms followed them, and if the tribe wanted peace, they had to remove the creature. Many Varunians whispered that sacrifice was the only answer. Evan felt his stomach tighten. The word sacrifice sounded wrong to him. The humans had come to study the energy storms, not to judge the tribe's beliefs. But Evan sensed that everything was connected. He asked if he could see the creature. The chief hesitated, then agreed. He warned Evan to stay far from it because the Rathor was dangerous, wild, and full of unpredictable energy. Evan nodded, though he was not convinced. He had seen dangerous animals before, and he knew the difference between aggression and fear. The humans followed the guides to a cave near the village. Inside, blue crystals glowed with soft light. Evan saw cage bars made from stone and energy wires. Behind them, something moved. When Evan stepped closer, he saw a creature curled in the corner. It was small, not much bigger than a young dog. Its fur looked like soft silver threads, and its eyes glowed faint blue. Its wings, folded tightly at its sides, shimmered like they were made of thin glass. The creature didn't roar or growl. It trembled. Evan felt his chest tighten with emotion. This was not a monster. This was a frightened young creature. A Varunian guard warned Evan not to approach, saying the creature had attacked anyone who came near. But when Evan crouched and looked at it gently, the Rathor stopped shaking and slowly raised its head. Its eyes focused on him with confusion, then curiosity. Evan noticed its thin body and the way its ribs showed. It was starving. Evan took a step closer. The guards called out, telling him to stop, but Evan made a soft gesture. He spoke to the creature in a low, steady voice. He reached into his pack and pulled out a packet of nutrient food. Slowly, he placed the food on the ground and pushed it toward the creature. The Rathor sniffed the air, its ears twitching. It moved forward carefully, expecting harm. But when nothing happened, it reached the food and sniffed again. Then it took a bite. Evan smiled and relaxed a little. The Varunian guards stared in shock. They had never seen the Rathor touch anything offered by them. They whispered among themselves, unsure how this human had managed to calm the creature. Evan sat down, cross-legged, keeping his movements slow and gentle. The creature finished the food quickly and looked at him again. Evan reached his hand forward, stopping halfway. He waited. The Rathor leaned forward, sniffed his fingers, then nudged his hand softly. Evan touched its fur and felt the warmth under it. The creature made a low sound, something between a hum and a purr. The guards were stunned. They stepped back as if witnessing something impossible. Evan ignored their shock. All he saw was a lonely creature desperate for kindness. He stroked the Rathor's head. The creature rubbed against his palm like it had found comfort for the first time in days. When Evan returned to the village, the chief and elders asked him what he had done. The guards explained what they saw, and the elders looked troubled. They said the creature was dangerous no matter how gentle it seemed. Evan politely disagreed. He said the creature showed no aggression, only fear. But the elders insisted that the storms had increased ever since the Rathor appeared in the valley. Evan asked how they were so sure. The elders said their stories were proof. The tribe believed the Rathor species attracted storms. They believed storms followed them naturally, and if the tribe did not remove the creature, the valley would be destroyed. Evan listened quietly. He respected their traditions, but he felt their fear had blinded them to the truth. Over the next few days, Evan visited the Rathor every morning. Each time, the creature grew more comfortable with him. It wagged its small silver tail when he arrived. It pressed its head against the bars when he spoke. Evan named it Luma, because its soft, glowing fur reminded him of moonlight. Luma began to trust him so much that it let him clean the wounds on its wings. It let him feed it fruit and water. Evan studied its behavior and realized something important. Every time Luma became nervous or afraid, the crystals around the cave glowed brighter. But when Luma felt safe beside Evan, the crystals dimmed and stayed stable. Evan suspected Luma did not cause storms. Instead, the creature reacted to energy around it, maybe even absorbed it. But he had no proof yet. He needed more time the elders were not willing to give. One night, the chief called the humans to the council hall. The elders explained that another storm was coming, larger than any before. They believed Luma's presence had caused it. The tribe had decided the sacrifice must happen the next sunrise. They could no longer take risks. Evan stood still, his heart pounding. The elders spoke respectfully, but their decision felt final. Evan tried to argue, saying the creature was young and scared, not dangerous. He pointed out that storms came long before Luma was captured, but the elders shook their heads. Fear controlled their thoughts. They were ready to end the creature's life. After the meeting, Evan walked alone outside. The purple sky was darkening as the storm clouds gathered far away. The air hummed with strange energy. Evan knew he had only a few hours before sunrise. He could not let Luma be harmed. He felt responsible for the creature. It trusted him completely, and he could not betray that trust. Evan returned to the cave. 2 Varunian guards stood outside, but they stepped aside when he said he wanted to say goodbye. Evan entered the cave, and Luma hurried to the bars, making a soft sound. Evan knelt down, feeling the weight of the moment. Luma pressed its head against the bars, searching for comfort. Evan whispered that he would not let anything happen to it. He checked the guards outside. They were talking to each other. Distracted. Evan pulled out a small device from his pocket, a human tool that could disable simple energy locks. He had used it many times on human equipment for repairs. Now he used it for something far more important. The lock on Luma's cage clicked open quietly. Evan slid the bars aside, and Luma stepped out slowly, confused but trusting. Evan picked it up carefully. Its small wings fluttered softly, but it stayed calm in his arms. Evan left the cave, moving quickly but quietly. He walked past the distracted guards who did not notice the creature in his arms, covered by his cloak. He headed toward the forest, the only place far from the village where Luma could hide safely. The night air was cool, and the sky flickered with distant lightning. Evan moved through the crystal trees, hearing them hum with the rising storm. Luma sensed the energy and clung to him tightly, but Evan whispered calm words, telling it everything would be okay. They reached a hidden clearing deep in the forest. Evan set Luma down gently. The creature looked around nervously, then pressed itself against Evan's leg. Evan knelt beside it and stroked its fur, trying to ease its fear. He knew the tribe would discover the creature missing by morning. He also knew they would come searching. But Evan was not afraid. He had already chosen his path. He would protect Luma. He would find the truth behind the storms. He would prove the creature was not a threat. Above them, the sky cracked with light, and the first winds of the storm reached the forest. Evan looked up and tightened his jaw. The real battle was about to begin, and he stood ready, not for war, but for truth. And he would not back down. Evan stayed in the forest clearing with Luma as the night sky brightened with flashes of distant storm energy. The soft silver creature pressed against his side, trembling every time the wind changed. Evan kept one hand gently on its back, whispering calm words. He knew he had little time before the tribe discovered the empty cage. He also knew he could not keep hiding. At some point, he needed proof, something strong enough to show the tribe they were wrong about Luma. The forest around them glowed faintly from the crystals inside the tall trees. The air hummed with rising energy. Evan pulled out his scanner and pointed it toward the sky. Strange readings appeared, confirming his suspicion. The storm was forming far above the valley long before Luma had escaped, and long before the tribe would notice anything. That meant Luma had nothing to do with its arrival. Luma lifted its head and looked toward the distant thunder. Its wings shimmered faintly, glowing with a soft blue light. Evan watched closely. The creature wasn't afraid of the storm itself. It was afraid of what the tribe believed. It had been treated as a danger its whole life. Evan felt a deep sadness. This creature did not deserve fear. It deserved care. Evan checked the forest path again. No one had followed yet. He took a deep breath and decided he had to approach the core of the storm. If Luma really absorbed energy instead of causing it, then the storm would react to the creature's presence. Evan needed to see that with his own eyes. He whispered to Luma, asking it to follow. The creature understood his tone even if it did not understand every word. It trotted beside him, wings held close, glowing softly whenever the wind grew stronger. They walked deeper into the forest, moving toward the rising glow in the sky. As they reached a ridge overlooking the valley, Evan saw bright lines of energy forming above the village. The storm was building fast. Electric waves crossed the clouds like veins of light. It was more powerful than any storm he had seen on Earth. Luma sensed it too. Its fur stood up, and soft blue sparks appeared across its wings. But the creature did not run. Instead, it walked forward slowly, as if drawn by the storm. Evan followed it carefully. He kept his scanner open, recording everything. At the top of the ridge, the wind almost pushed him back. The storm was not fully formed yet, but it was close. Evan heard distant shouts in the valley as Varunian warriors rushed through the village, probably discovering the empty cage. They would come searching for Luma. They would blame him for freeing it. Evan looked down at Luma. The little creature's eyes reflected the flashing sky. It was not afraid. It lifted its head and let out a soft sound, a gentle call that echoed strangely across the ridge. The air reacted immediately. The nearest cloud shook and released a wave of blue light that shot down toward them. Evan braced himself, but something incredible happened. Luma stepped forward, and its wings opened. A soft, blue barrier formed around its body. The wave of energy hit the barrier and disappeared instantly, absorbed like water into dry sand. Luma's glow brightened, but the creature did not seem hurt. Instead, it seemed calmer. Evan's heart raced with excitement. The scanner in his hand blinked wildly. It confirmed what he already knew. Luma absorbed storm energy. It protected the environment, not harmed it. He finally had proof, but he needed the tribe to see this with their own eyes. Luma made another soft sound and took a step toward the valley. Evan understood immediately. The creature wanted to help. It wanted to go down there and stop the storm before it harmed the village again. Evan knew this was his chance to show the truth. He took a deep breath and nodded. They began walking down the ridge toward the valley. The storm grew louder and brighter. Energy cracked between the clouds like lightning made of pure light. The wind spun around them, but Luma stayed calm and kept absorbing small bursts that reached the ground. As they neared the village border, Varunian warriors appeared between the trees. Their spears glowed, ready to strike. Evan raised both hands, calling out loudly. The warriors stopped when they saw the human and the creature walking side by side. Luma stayed close to Evan, trusting him completely. The warriors were confused. They had expected a wild beast, not a calm young creature walking peacefully beside a human. One of the warriors shouted that Evan had betrayed them. He accused him of bringing danger to the village. Evan shook his head and said they needed to see the truth with their own eyes. He pointed to the sky. The storm was growing stronger. The warriors looked up, fear covering their faces. Another wave of energy shot downward, heading directly toward the village. The warriors braced, expecting destruction. But before the energy reached them, Luma stepped forward. Its wings spread wide and its glow brightened. The storm wave touched the creature and vanished instantly, leaving only calm air behind. The warriors stared, speechless. Evan took the chance to speak. He said the creature did not bring storms. It protected people from them. He explained the readings from his scanner. He pointed out that the storm had formed naturally long before the tribe looked for Luma. Before the warriors could respond, the chief and the elders arrived. They had followed the shouting and came with even more guards. The moment they saw Luma, the elders raised their staffs, fear in their eyes. Evan stood between them and the creature, spreading his arms. He spoke calmly but firmly, asking them to look at what was happening, not at what old stories said. The chief stared at Evan, then at Luma, then at the sky. The storm was at its strongest now. Thick rings of energy circled above the valley. The ground trembled with the power gathering overhead. The elders shouted that the storm would destroy the village. Evan told them there was only one hope, Luma. Before anyone could argue, the largest wave of storm energy broke free from the clouds. It came down like a massive wall of blue light. The villagers screamed. The warriors stepped back. Even the chief looked terrified. But Luma walked forward on its small legs, wings open, glowing brighter than ever before. Evan felt the air shift. The creature stood at the very center of the valley as the giant wave reached the ground. The moment the energy hit Luma, the entire valley filled with blinding blue light. Evan shielded his eyes but did not move. He trusted Luma. He trusted the truth he had seen. Slowly, the light faded. The storm noise stopped. The wind became gentle. When Evan opened his eyes, he saw Luma standing unharmed, glowing softly as if holding the last bit of storm energy inside its wings. The clouds above the valley broke apart. The sky became calm and clear. The villagers looked around, shocked. The storm was gone. Their homes were safe. Their land was untouched. And the creature they had feared was the one that had saved them. The chief stepped forward slowly, staring at Luma with disbelief. Then he bowed his head. The elders followed. The warriors lowered their weapons. Everyone understood the truth now. Their stories had been wrong. They had misunderstood the Rathors for generations. Evan knelt beside Luma and gently placed a hand on its head. The creature leaned against him, tired but peaceful. Evan felt proud, not of himself, but of Luma. This creature had carried the fear of an entire tribe, yet chosen kindness. The chief approached Evan and thanked him with a soft voice. He apologized for doubting him. Evan shook his head and said the tribe had only acted out of fear. Anyone could make that mistake. The important thing was that they now knew the truth. The elders gathered and decided that the Rathor species must be protected, not harmed. They promised to guard them and respect them from now on. Some villagers even stepped closer to Luma, amazed by its gentle nature. For the first time, Luma did not step back. It felt safe. In the following days, the humans and Varunians worked together to study the storm energy and the role of the Rathors. Luma stayed close to Evan, following him everywhere. It began to explore the village, meeting children who giggled when it glowed softly near them. The tribe built a sanctuary for any future Rathors that might appear, a safe place where the creatures could live without fear. Evan spent more time with Luma, understanding its habits and its quiet intelligence. The creature responded to his voice and gestures more than anyone else's. Their bond grew into something meaningful, almost like family. The chief later announced that Evan would serve as the official link between humans, Varunians, and the Rathor species. Evan accepted with honor. He had not planned to become a protector, but life had taken him there naturally. One evening, after weeks of peace, Evan stood on a hill overlooking the calm valley. Luma sat beside him, wings folded, eyes glowing softly. Evan looked down at the creature and smiled. He whispered that the valley was safe now, and Luma made a soft humming sound in reply. The stars shined above them. The wind carried no fear anymore, and the creature once called a monster was now a symbol of peace, thanks to one human who chose kindness instead of fear. Evan placed his hand on Luma's back. The creature leaned into him, glowing gently. Together, they watched the sky, knowing the storms would come again someday. But this time, they would face them together, side by side, without fear, without doubt, and without misunderstanding. Their story had begun with fear, but it ended with trust, unity, and a bond that would last far into the future.